The observatory issues this year's first number 8 typhoon signal. Hong Kong Airport expects continued flight disruption until further notice. And Trump says the US is still considering re-engaging full-scale attack on Iran. Good evening. Welcome to TVB News. The strong wind signal number 3 is currently in effect, with the observatory set to issue the gale or storm signal number 8 at 10:10 p.m. This as several areas across the city as well as air traffic have been affected by oncoming Typhoon Noul. Timothy Lee has our top story.
Overcast to find much of Hong Kong's weather earlier today, as occasional showers prepared the city for the arrival of Typhoon Noul. The typhoon is currently concentrated around 220 kilometers to the city's southeast and is expected to move on a northwesterly trajectory at a speed of 18 kilometers per hour. Noul has been forecasted to edge towards the eastern Guangdong coastline before making landfall tomorrow morning in the area between Huizhou and Shanwei, at which point it will pass by the city at a distance of 100 kilometers. Rain bands surrounding Noul have also brought about heavy rain in the city throughout the afternoon. On Castle Peak Road in Changsha Wan, the scaffolding outside of a building undergoing construction was suspected of being partially blown off. Fire services personnel were deployed on site to investigate the situation. No injuries have been reported so far. On Oyen Street in Shao Kei Wan, a tree that stood 10 meters tall was suspected of being uprooted by strong gusts. Several of its branches fell on a private car and blocked the path for pedestrians in the area. At around 4 p.m. in Kuntong, a 2-meter-tall hoarding installed at a construction site on Hoyun Road was suspected of being blown over before falling on top of a passerby. He received light injuries to the head and was rescued by other pedestrians. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Now we go live to reporter Celine Chan, who's at the Tsinghua Shui Pier for an update. Over to you, Celine. What are the conditions like out there?
Yes, Danny, although the observatory has announced that they're going to upgrade the current signal to the gale or storm signal number 8 in less than an hour, business is going as usual right here at the pier. Well, as we can see, the waters remained rather calm and the sightseeing ferries are actually still running. We're also seeing plenty of tourists and locals still hanging around the waterfront. Well, over the past hour, it hasn't been very windy and we've just had a little light drizzle. So things are going as usual right here at the pier. Well, that's all the update as for now. Back to you at the studio.
Thank you, Celine. At least 238 flights are delayed and 49 cancelled as Typhoon Noul edges closer to Hong Kong. Mimosa Ngai reports.
At the airport, many travelers gather around the flight schedule board to check the latest flight status. Several airlines, including Hong Kong's Cathay Pacific and its budget airline HK Express, have cancelled flights over the weekend. For some passengers, having a flight cancelled is not ideal, especially if they need to work.
And we are stuck because no one's really helping us. We don't know what to do now.
No way. So first of all, they didn't contact you about the cancellation?
Not really, no.
Another alternative to go to Madrid or something, or to have a refund, could do something or pick another flight or something. We work tomorrow, so we have to be there, and we've been here since 2 p.m.
For those whose flights are scheduled to take place at the original time, they have their concerns.
Parents are waiting for us back home, so I don't know. With who knows how long the typhoon's going to go on for, so will they give us hotels? Going to cost money. Like, we've been out of the country for a few weeks, but I just want to get home.
The airport authority says it has activated its flight rescheduling system, reminding travelers to check their flight status before heading to the airport.
In Mongkok, streets are busy with shoppers and passers-by. While some tourists say they have not experienced typhoons, they are not bothered by the weather.
We might just have to stay more inside and see less sights, I guess.
I don't know how to behave in this case, but we can go out or not. But everybody is telling us to beware with the typhoon. So people are friendly and gave us the info, so no problem.
A local says his family is prepared for the rainstorm.
We prepare food, the windows are secure, the doors are all safe and locked, and I've been told to go back home earlier.
Meanwhile, workers removed benches at the typhoon black spot, Hanfa-chun. They cordon off the area close to the sea, where scaffolding mesh on the nearby buildings is tied. Mums 9, TVB News.
Macau hoisted the typhoon signal number 3 at 6 p.m. this evening as the observatory continues to monitor the movement of Typhoon Noul. The sunshine was recorded early Saturday morning in Macau, though the local meteorological agency hoisted a red rainstorm warning later in the day. The storm is set to make landfall about 170 kilometers east of Macau between midnight and early morning Sunday. Winds began to strengthen Saturday evening, and the chance of issuing a typhoon signal number 8 between midnight and early tomorrow morning remains low to medium. Heavy rain and thunderstorms are expected tomorrow. The mainland meteorological authorities forecast that Typhoon Noul will make landfall along the coastal area between Hong Kong and Lufeng in Guangdong province between tonight and tomorrow morning. In Huizhou, heavy rainstorms strengthened over the course of the afternoon, with local weather authorities expecting worsening weather conditions in Shenzhen. Wind speed significantly picked up along the Guangdong coastline, with waves reaching 4 meters high near Shanwei City. Similar scenes were recorded in nearby Jieyang. Guangdong meteorological authorities expect extreme rainstorms will batter coastal regions across Guangdong and Fujian for the next 3 days, and do not exclude the possibility of tornadoes developing in the area. This as Huizhou, Dongguan and Shanwei announced the suspension of all work and classes, while all high-speed and standard rail in Guangdong province ceased operations starting today. U.S. President Donald Trump indicates Washington and Tehran are still pursuing diplomatic talks as both sides denied a New York Times report claiming Iran rejected a ceasefire proposal by Trump that was conveyed to Tehran by Iraq's prime minister. Separately, Iranian Foreign Minister Saeed Abbas Araghchi claims the core problem stems from U.S. policies and practices and stresses his country will not accept threats, coercion or force. Donald Trump says on Friday that dialogue between the two sides continues and that he believes Iran is getting more serious as the days go by.
Should we expect to see major strikes?
Look, we're talking to them right now. I think they're getting more and more serious as the days go by, for maybe the obvious reason. But we are talking to them right now.
Trump also suggests an unprecedented massive attack on Iran that he threatened earlier is unnecessary, as it remained unclear behind-the-scenes negotiations could revive diplomatic efforts.
We're locked and loaded and ready to go, but we're talking to them, so I think while we're talking, we'll see what comes of it.
Later that night, the U.S. president spoke to a roomful of journalists at a rescheduled correspondents' dinner at Washington's Waldorf Astoria after a shooting upended the first edition. He described the Iran talks were progressing extremely well and vowed to keep the Islamic Republic from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Meanwhile, in Kyrgyzstan, where Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi is attending a meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the official told Iran's Tasnim news agency that no more mediators are needed to help end the conflict, pointing out the U.S. must change its position. He said Iran will continue its actions until the legitimate goals and demands of the Iranian people are realized. Araghchi further made clear that his country will not bow to pressure, particularly regarding the issues of the Strait of Hormuz, the choke point at the center of the latest hostilities, since Iranian attacks can effectively shut it down. 59 people have died in the exchange of fire and over 600 others injured in recent weeks, according to Iran's health ministry. An alternative route for the region's oil is also under threat after the Iranian-allied Houthi rebels launched additional attacks on 2 Saudi Arabian oil tankers in the Red Sea, causing fires to break out on both. The militia announces closing the Bab el-Mandeb Strait to Saudi-linked shipping in retaliation for the kingdom's blockade on Yemen.
The Houthi reasoning...
Michael Ratney, a former U.S. ambassador to Saudi Arabia, contends the Houthis have an imperfect ability to close the waterway and further disrupt global oil supplies and trade during the war. U.S. President Donald Trump addresses a roomful of journalists at a correspondents' dinner rescheduled from April after a shooting upended the first edition. Trump jokes about running for a third term, nodding to his long-held allegations of election fraud before donning a red cap that read Trump 2028 as he wraps up his speech.
And this is somewhat of a scoop. My intention to run for a fourth term as President of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official, in fact, I think I have, I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times, did very well the second time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it.
The rescheduled dinner took place in the ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, a smaller venue that held only about 700 people. The new dinner comes during a time of increasing tension between the media and a president who, in his second term, has tried to exert pressure on media outlets. He is unhappy with in a variety of ways. The pressure has ranged from sanctions against members of the White House press corps to regulatory actions through the Federal Communications Commission to outright lawsuits. And still ahead, Indian Education Minister steps down amid nationwide protests. Wildfire continues to rip through parts of France and Spain. And LegCo members return from a National Affairs study trip in Beijing. Welcome back. Indian Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan tendered his resignation following weeks of youth-led cockroach protests over alleged student paper leaks. Despite activist Sonam Wangchuk's decision to end his 26-day hunger strike on Friday, New Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad and Dharamsala saw thousands of people swarming the streets after repeated leaks of high-stakes entrance exams from medical colleges and government jobs. The crowds cheered after the education minister announced his resignation. Demonstrators pledged to press on as they insisted on comprehensive examination reforms and compensation for the families of students who died by suicide. Emerged in May, the Cockroach Janta Party's satirical campaign turned into a national movement that has erupted across India and became one of the most visible signs of public dissent against Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government in recent years. Authorities in France evacuated some suburbs of Bordeaux on Saturday as a massive wildfire shifted towards the city, famous for its wines. This as wildfires fueled by intense heat across Europe continue to burn through France as well as parts of Spain. Zhou Li has more.
Massive forest fires have forced evacuation of some 200,000 people in southwestern France and central Spain, with residents fleeing towns near Madrid and Bordeaux on Friday as flames rage out of control. The prefect of France-Gironde region that includes Bordeaux ordered evacuation in the early hours of Saturday, covering parts of 3 of the city's western suburbs, including its airport. Evacuations were also underway in other towns and villages further west of the city's immediate suburbs. Some people even fled by boat when flames swept through tourist towns on the Atlantic coast. Dozens of French firefighters have been injured, authorities say, but no deaths were reported in either country despite the scenes of panic, as residents fled by car and the police went door to door to tell people to leave as large plumes of smoke darkened the skies. Some 141,000 fled homes in the Gironde and Lens regions in France, amid what the French Interior Ministry calls a large self-sustaining fire that is extremely difficult to bring under control. Gironde region officials say strong winds from the west were pushing the fire closer to the Bordeaux metropolitan area, and that it had grown to an unprecedented magnitude and is asking residents to evacuate as soon as possible. Firefighters and authorities in France and Spain were caught off guard by the virulence of the fires, which were fueled by high temperatures and the long-term effects of climate change. Fire crews in Spain admitted the fires were so fast and violent that they could not be tackled head-on. In central Spain, 60,000 were forced from their homes west of Madrid, according to the Spanish Interior Ministry. On Saturday, the Madrid regional government said the fires there decreased in intensity overnight as winds and temperatures dropped. Julie, TVB News.
Hong Kong Legislative Council members returned from a week-long national affairs study tour in Beijing, saying the visit has deepened their understanding of the country's development strategy and provided new ideas for Hong Kong's future governance. Luna Bai has more.
From July 19th, lawmakers attended lectures at the National Academy of Governance on topics including the country's 15th five-year plan, national development strategies, and the international geopolitical landscape. They also met the director of the Hong Kong and Macau Work Office, Xia Baolong, who encouraged the lawmakers to strengthen their role in supporting the SAR government and helping address the public's concerns.
This trip is of historical significance because this is the first study trip to Beijing from the electrical perspective. I think every member will, think about how to apply all this learning into our daily work.
Lawmakers say the tour will help strengthen governance, improve legislation work, and support Hong Kong's integration into the country's overall development. Lawmaker Chen Chun-ing says Hong Kong's first long-time development plan should focus on industries where Hong Kong has clear advantages and align closely with the National Five-Year Plan. Members also highlight innovation as a key takeaway, saying Hong Kong should continue investing in research, attract more high-growth technology firms, and make better use of its international platform to support the country's innovation-driven development. And lawmakers will brief the chief executive on the outcomes of the tour on July the 28th. Lena Bai, TVB News.
The southbound travel scheme expands to all 9 mainland cities in the Greater Bay Area. The Airport Authority is also launching a Park and Visit, a service allowing drivers to park before entering Hong Kong. Vehicle owners from the newly added cities can now book online to enter Hong Kong's urban areas. Under Park and Visit, Greater Bay Area drivers can drive via the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge to the port to park, then entering Hong Kong. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mabel Chan says since last year, 160 car parks across Hong Kong now offer charging facilities and accept mainland e-payment apps. Adding the total number of vehicle inspection centres is expected to rise to 28. Secretary for the Environment and Ecology Bureau, Se Ching-wan, says 31 restaurants have given up the licenses to allow dogs to enter due to their target customer positioning since dog-friendly restaurant arrangement has come into effect 2 weeks ago. Se says 65 complaints have been received so far involving poor signage placement and dog owners' failure to restrain the pet dogs. The Food and Environment Hygiene Department has conducted 14,000 inspections and issued 70 verbal warnings. He also notes there is an improvement and the arrangement is still under an adaptation period, adding while some participating restaurants saw their revenue double, 31 restaurants decided to give up the licenses due to their marketing position and tight customer base. Vacated licenses will be reassigned in order based on the waiting list set by the Bureau last month. Chinese travel platform Trip.com Group has been fined 5.179 billion RMB by State Administration for Market Regulation of China for monopolistic practices. Mainland local authorities says such practices harmed hotels' pricing rights and intensified negative market competition. The fine is imposed under anti-monopoly law, and Trip.com Group has been asked to conduct a full rectification and publicly disclose its corrective measures. Since 2020, the company has taken an unfair advantage of its dominant position in mainland online hotel booking market to conduct monopolistic practices, including requiring hotels with exclusive contracts not to cooperate with its rivals and forcing hotels working with other travel platforms to offer the lowest price on Trip.com. And that's the news. Here's a reminder that due to the live coverage of Kerry Fencing World Championships 2026, tomorrow night's main news will start at 8:40 p.m. Join us then.